dropping in. I was just recently testing some VIC-20s, and I was maybe going to do some more, but I came upon some Commodore 64's of all things. But one thing that occurred to me as I was just preparing to see about these, and that is that I found, and this was not long ago, like a few minutes ago, but here is the VIC-20 power supply, and I had left it plugged in, even though there was no machine attached. It is always best, when you are done, to either turn off your power bar, if you have one, or completely disconnect such things. Because, you know, I don't know when the next time you're going to use it, but in these days of electricity prices, this does not draw much. But still, a power supply sitting for days or weeks, plugged in and doing nothing, does draw. And who knows, it could damage it. And, you know, these things, they can be replaced. But why bother? So anyway, I have unplugged the VIC-20 power supply, and I will set it aside with the VIC-20s. It is not needed at this juncture. So, here I have 3 Commodore 64's that I do not know anything about, except that they are some dirty, broken keys. Oh, wait a second. Oh, I thought I saw a hole in the case. Anyway, but before I test them, I do want to make sure that I actually have something that works to test them on. So here, it's a rather dirty Commodore 64, but, and it was, what was it? Garage number 10. So, I'm going to make sure the power switch is off. Plug the power in. Hello, hello. And turn this on, because one of the things, see, I was using this universal video cable, probably from Radio Shack. Oh, look at that. But I was not just sure if it would be the same video pin out. I thought it was. But you can't really test something unless you know at least what you have is working. So, here we have a working Commodore 64. Isn't it magical? And now we can get on with the 3 that are here that are unknown. So, we'll just set that down with the VIC-20 one. Now here we have one that the LED's been scrunched in. It's missing a number of keys. The power switch works. It has no documentation on the back. As in, the serial number has been removed. So what does this mean? Who knows? Is it going to work? My gut tells me it won't. But then again, some of these barn fresh machines, you never know. And this is not one from the garage. I did get this from, I saw an ad, and, you know, they sounded in pretty rough shape. We'll see. So power has been applied. Shazam. Even though the keyboard is, you know, missing the 4, 5, what's that next key? Minus sign, clear home key, and 2 function keys. The machine does appear to work. One would think that I would have had the dead test cartridge right here, but I don't. So, but this is just a quick run through. So, that's good. Ugly, and it works. Here is another one. Badly yellowed. Case has got a break in it. Oh, and the bottom, there. Yeah, the case does have a smash. It looks like it's, oh, something. Oop. Something was rattling around inside. I think it was one of the, ooh, dust. One of the fingers that maybe held this off location. Anyway, now, does this one work? I have no clue. The LED has also been similarly crushed. The power switch is off. This is an 8-pin video, but a 5-pin video cable works just dandy. So, does it work? We apply power. Shazam. Interesting. So, one would think, if you found these at a garage sale, you might not offer, you know, $5 for them. They are ugly, they are dirty, they are dusty. But so far, we are 2 for 2. And here we have one with a cover. The cover is in pretty rough shape. The machine is, well, the case is broken. The power switch seems to work. The power switch is off. Now this one, which looks better, my gut tells me it should work. But will it? Yes, it does. So, we're 3 for 3. Now I'm going to just leave this one on for a moment. Oh, by the way, back here, you may not recognize this fellow. This, I can't see the gear here. Oh, wait a second. No, I don't remember. I remember this shirt. I remember the shirt in that it had kind of computer letters. Kind of a computer font. But I really think they could have done better, but I don't remember what year it is. But anyway, this would be from the 1980s. It would. And the fellow sitting at a setup not so different than this right here. Look. Not the same monitor, but it could have been. That's me. And I was doing some sort of presentation at the TPUG, I guess they called it the TPUG convention. TPUG Annual Conference was what it was called. And it was held in Toronto, usually at a hotel, which I think has now been torn down, near the airport. And it was quite the event. It was. TPUG still exists, you know, the Toronto Pet Users Group, despite efforts and pressure over many years to change the name to reflect the VIC-20, the Commodore 64, the Amigas and stuff. It stuck with TPUG, Toronto Pet Users Group. And coming up on December the 7th, 2019, assuming you're watching this beforehand, is the TPUG World of Commodore, December the 7th, 2019. At a place called the Admiral Inn in Mississauga, Ontario, which is very close to Toronto. If you really want more information, Google World of Commodore 2019. I will be there. I don't believe I'm going to present anything. I haven't really thought of anything. And I'd like to think they have enough presenters, but if something were to arise, I would be happy to talk. Anyway, so there I am. Now somewhere, I think I still have this hat. I don't know where. But it has an assortment of buttons. This was from 25 years of Commodore. And of course the traditional I adore my 64 button. Anyway, I'm going to leave this sitting for a moment. I'm going to go and get dirt, dust. I'm going to go get the dead test cartridge for the 64's. Hello, I have returned. I put all the 64s back on the table because I had 2 of them sitting gently on the floor on their ends, and they sit quite nicely. And nothing bad happened. I didn't knock them or anything. But, you know, they could fall. So here we have Commodore 64's Diagnostic and Utility Cartridge. Otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, that's the dead test. Supposedly, Commodore dead test, C128, C64, C128, C128D. Imagine. Alright, so, ooh, dirty. So this is, I know the machine comes out, but this also gives an indication if there's anything else to be worried about imminently. Funny, one thing I noticed just as I was picking these two 64s up is they did have thicker and thinner. Uh-oh. Just a moment. That's not supposed to happen. Usually there's a bit of a pause. There's a bit of a pause. Ah, there we go. Okay, these two machines have, I can feel it. This one is thicker than this one. Thicker? Sorry, thicker, thinner, thicker, thinner. Does it make any difference? No, not really. The other thing, and it's funny, I didn't know this for I always figured it was a mistake. Sometimes the top and the, well, this is dirty, but I can tell. The top and the bottom, they're not exactly the same tone. And yeah, that's, you know, sometimes they didn't end up the same color when they were mixing up the plastic to make the cases. So if the bottom and the top of yours don't match, it doesn't really mean much. It's probably just the way it was. Doesn't mean that someone has changed it or altered it. Oh. What happened here? Something has happened. Something has happened. Alright. What has happened? Oh. Stop. That picture is not me. Okay, we're waiting. Oh, we won't hear the SID. Oh, no. Okay, that's not good. Okay, so it's the red one. Okay, note to self. What has happened here? Okay, what has happened here?
That was easy.
Alright, I don't know what happened there, but something happened. Maybe I bumped something. So, sorry. In the midst of that, I did not have a sound cable connected to the monitor. So I couldn't hear if the SID chip was functioning. Although right at the end, I think I got just a hair of it there, so I turned up the volume. So note to self, if you have this cable that I think originally came from Radio Shack, 5 pins, 4 outputs, 1 black, 1 yellow, 1 white, 1 red, and you have a 1701, and you want to get video out of a VIC-20 or a Commodore 64, put the white one in the video. And if you want audio, the red one. And I'm assuming that, and maybe I'll test this later, one of them probably does not much of anything. Oh. Whoa. Huh, well that doesn't sound all too loud. Because oh, well, it could be, no, I don't have anything over the speaker. Well, it does seem that the SID chip works in this one, but it's not particularly loud. Let's try another. Now, I of course now have the volume on the monitor turned all the way up, which means, is there something in there? there we go. Some cartridge ports are tougher than others. Witness mark. Machine is off. Hello. What am I doing? There we go. Okay, so Commodore 64 dead test cartridge number 2. There's a pause. There we go. Okay. So this one has been tested. I'm going to put it on a chair. Now this one, when the dead test gets to it, it may come up rather...
That was easy.
...loud. It might. This this part of the dead test is not particularly exciting. It is not. It is sort of like being in the Twilight Zone. Waiting ever so patiently for the SID chip to be tested. Once again, only on 3 of 4 voices. Alright, the screen will go blank. And I have a bad feeling. Now, it's one of, you know what, I don't think I've done sound on this monitor. So this monitor, it may have some issues with its amplifier or its speaker. But if suddenly you see me racing across the table to crank the volume down, you'll know. It's loud. But we'll see. Anyway, oh. Wow, that's quieter than the last one. Like, that volume is right to the top, and that is not loud. Well, it is working, but that's strange. So, what we'll do now is put this 64 back yonder and see what happens with this one. That is strange. I think I remembered that it is possible the SID chips can sort of lose their volume, but that's strange. So we have power, we have video, we have the cartridge. There will be a pause. Look at that. And that will do its testing. So I'm curious, it may be that I really have to snag another monitor, or, I mean, I know the sound is coming out the red one. Could it be the black one? I don't think so. When I turn on the machine, I did hear there's oftentimes a little, I don't know what to call it, acknowledgement, just a little squeak. I did hear that, but I am puzzled. This monitor seems to work fine. I don't know why, but forever and ever and ever, it has had a piece of black electrical tape across the top. So I don't know if there's some deficiency up above or what, but I know it's there. Alright, the characters are vanishing.
That was easy.
And soon, we'll either hear not much of anything, or I will dive across the table to turn it down. I suspect I'm going to have to listen very closely. Well, that's louder. No, it's definitely not. Well, maybe it is. You see that? Maybe it is the white and the black. See, that is the sound. Hang on, I'm going to turn this off. See, that's kind of a sound. Okay. Maybe what I said before about the red and the white is wrong. This sounds more like a Commodore 64 sitting hooked up to a 1701 that has the volume turned up too high. It does. So, looking back here, I have no idea what I was speaking about at the TPUG conference, but I had a Wiko joystick handy. And I don't know how many people were in the room as I was doing this, but I suspect it would have been more than 50, less than 100. Who knows? It might be 35 years ago. Does that make sense? It's possible. I don't know if you have TPUG magazines and you look back. Oh, we're getting close to the test. In December of 1984, my brother and I were on the cover. So coming up next month, that'll be 35 years. Okay, what's about to happen? That is much better. Okay. What I said earlier about this Radio Shack cable, forget that. Black is sound, white is video. At least on the Commodore 64, I haven't tested it on the VIC. The red, I don't know what it does, but it gives a little phantom sound. Alright, so all of the SID chips in these somewhat dirty, ugly machines up here, to be working. Just to satisfy myself one more time. I'm going to do this one more time. Oh, now that's a funny buzz. This was working. That's a different buzz. Okay. Well, that is why it's not a bad thing to have things plugged in properly. Because you just never know. So while this is happening, I can write some things, such as November 2019. November. Ooh. 2019. One thing I always write these things, well, not on the computer, because a Sharpie is a powerful thing, and I don't want the Sharpie to go through onto the case. So this is doing its thing again. So this is, well, works. Turkey. Missing. Keys. LED. Is in deep. Oh, case. Broken. Ah, look at that. You know what, though, I'm going to update this. SID buzz. It's not making the right, there's an extra buzz. See, it's not the high squeak, it's something else. Maybe it's to do with the fourth voice that this doesn't test. But I am going to make note of that. Because I would think that maybe this SID chip is a little wonky. Maybe it is. But anyway, as always, oh yeah, case broken indeed. The other thing I do is I put, when I remember, I put the documentation on with this gift tape, and I put it over the vent holes, not to cut off the air, but just so it doesn't really get stuck there forever. Alright. So, 364's, they all seem to work, but they need attention. And this one, I'm curious, very curious about the SID. You know what, I think, now that I have the sound machine, let's see about this. Hello, cartridge. Okay. I want to see this one, if it does the little squeak, or if it does something else. If it does something else, I think it's going to squeak. Yeah, I heard the little squeak. Oh, but it also, I must, sometimes, you know, you have to tweak the cartridge a little bit. Nope. I think this is one we had the trouble with before. I pulled it out just a hair. Okay, I think it's doing it now. Okay, so works, dirty, broken, keys, LED, down. No serial number. Dirty / ugly. Oh. SID. Okay. So this should be getting ready. Should be coming. All right, I'm bravely setting those machines down. Okay, what do we got? Sounds good. Okay. Works. Broken. Case. SID. Okay. Cart. Port. Not. Always. A bit. Dirty. But, you know, not bad. Considering all things. Yes, we can even document it when it's on. So I'm going to set these machines aside. I'm suspecting there's some nicer cases out there with boards that don't work that could maybe use these. I'm suspecting. Anyway, enough for now. 3 for 3 is not bad. So, we will continue to explore these Commodore relics. We shall. Thank you very much for coming. Bye for now.